Hello, I am Vishal and I am here. Thank you.
I see Pasqualino. I see Vishal.
Hi everyone, I'm Pasqualino, I'm here too.
Okay, Jennifer is here. We are waiting for Mr. Shibu and Mr. Meerpat.
Yes, I am Shibu Prasad Boiddo, founder and chairman, Ganachetana Foundation, Bangladesh.
Great. Is Mr. Meerpat online? If the team can confirm, we can start the panel because it's 4-1 already.
I am Surpraju from IDSAP Visakhapatnam.
Okay, I think we'll start the panel. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're all well today. I'm delighted to welcome you all today to today's panel discussion organized by All India Disaster Mitigation Institute. Today's session is titled Evaluating Extreme Heat Projects and Programs, Key Lessons. It builds on the valuable insights shared in AIDMI's recent South Asia Disaster Net publication. This publication emphasizes the urgency of addressing extreme heat, which is no longer a distant threat, but an immediate reality impacting lives, livelihoods, ecosystems, and economies across the globe. This year, the record-breaking temperatures globally have further highlighted the need to accelerate adaptation and mitigation strategies, especially for the vulnerable populations in developing regions. AIDMI has been at the forefront of addressing these issues, and today's session brings together thought leaders, experts, and practitioners to delve deeper into actionable solutions and lessons learned. This session is a timely and critical opportunity to discuss how we can address these challenges through innovative strategies, collaborative efforts, and meaningful actions.
They are not taking up the big issues. मतलब कि पूरा नदी को चौड़ा कर दो और सारे दबान हटा दो.
Sorry, can you have the mic off?
हाँ, सरकार का जो प्रपोज प्लान है उसको रिविजिट करने को.
I would request the audience to have the mics off so that the panel can hear us.
ये वो जो डैम का पानी आता है ऐसे करो तो एनालिसिस तो वही.
Just give it a second. I'm sorry, guys. Okay. You're fortunate to have an incredible panel of experts who bring diverse perspectives and invaluable experience from various corners of the world. Their insights will shed light on lessons learned from extreme heat programming. Will shed light on lessons learned from extreme heat programming, focusing on urban contexts, small businesses, and vulnerable populations, particularly in developing economies. Before we begin, let me introduce our esteemed panelist, Ms. Jennifer Dorothy. She's a research fellow at LNAP, Active Learning Network for Accountability and Performance in Humanitarian Actions in the UK. She has 15 years of experience of humanitarian and development research and programming. Mr. Pasqualino Tomasi, co-chair of IUCN Urban Alliance from Switzerland, an urban planner and an architect with over 20 years of experience. Mr. Shibu Prasad Baidia, founder and chairman of Barakupot Ganochetana Foundation in Bangladesh. Mr. Vishal Pathak is a project coordinator at All India Disaster Mitigation Institute. And Mr. Mihir Bhatt, a director at All India Disaster Mitigation Institute, a visionary lead working at the intersection of humanitarian action, disaster resilience, and public policy. And myself, I'm Sushma Modi, coordinator of this panel. I'm a consultant with the IDMI and at the World Bank, with inclination towards role of women in DRR and agriculture in developing economies. This session is a collective opportunity to learn from diverse perspectives and experiences I'm excited about the rich insights our distinguished panelists will share today. Let us use this time to collaborate, strengthen our collective resolve to address the pressing challenges posed by extreme heat. As for the sequence of today's discussion, we will begin with opening remarks from Ms. Jennifer Dorothy from NLAB. Following that, we'll hear from our panel of distinguished experts with Mr. Pasqualini, Shibu Prasad Vaidya, Mr. Vishal Pathak, and Mr. Mihir Bhatt. After the panel presentation, we'll move into question and answer session to engage with your questions and then conclude with final thoughts from Mr. Mihir Bhatt. The timing of this meeting is 1 hour, that is up until 5 p.m. We shall keep the check of time for Q&A sessions. I would also suggest that the audience can also share their questions in chat box. With that, let us begin our discussion. I look forward to hearing from our distinguished panelists and our audiences and engaging with all of you as we explore how we can adapt to growing challenge of the extreme heat. Over to you, Ms. Dorothy, for opening remarks.
Thank you so much. It really is a pleasure to be able to chair the session today and to give a few opening remarks on such an important topic. I won't take up too much time from the panelists and their expert knowledge on this topic, but just give some brief reflections from LNAP and our position on learning. So I think it's very timely for us to have this space to discuss the issue of heat waves so soon after the COP in Azerbaijan this year. His outcomes really indicate that there's much more work to be done to prioritize the threat of climate change. So a threat not just for humanitarians responding to related crises, but also a threat to peace, to people's health, and a socioeconomic threat for development actors. And recognizing this growing scale in our own work at LNAP, our next State of the Humanitarian System report will be trying to capture these issues in much more depth than we have in the past, to explore the multifaceted challenges presented by climate change and how well humanitarians are learning and adapting to meet those challenges. And within this, extreme heat is just one of these important threats posed. And as Sushma said in her introduction, just looking at global temperatures over the past year, it's clearly a growing risk across the world. We've seen particularly challenging temperatures in the South Asia region. But the range of articles in the recent South Asia Disasters Net issue on evaluating responses to extreme heat shows us that there are a growing number of very useful programs seeking to address these challenges. And I look forward to hearing more about some of those approaches in the session today. And the growing risks underscore an impetus for good evaluations to hold us accountable for improving work in this area, and also for sharing learning on these topics across different types of actors and regions. A few years ago at LNAP, we worked with AIGMI and partners to develop a paper on lessons learned around heat waves, drawing on existing publications. And at that time, this seemed to be an emerging topic. So we found some very important lessons, but also reflected that there was much more to be done and evidenced around extreme heat. We're now seeing more projects working on this issue that are producing lessons of their own. And it's important that we keep building this evidence base on what works, what doesn't, and taking the perspectives of the people most at risk into account as we evaluate and we learn. And we need spaces like these for sharing that learning. So with that in mind, I'd like to join Sushma in welcoming all our speakers today who are helping to contribute to that learning. And I'll hand over to Pasqualino for his panelist remarks.
Hi, Jennifer. Thank you so much for this introduction and really impressive the work that you have done. Thank you everyone to having me. As Suma already said, I'm Pasqualino Tomassi. I work in Switzerland for the Lausanne municipality, and I am co-chair for IUCN Urban Alliance. Today, I'm going to present a brief presentation. I don't know if Sumasma want to present or I will share my screen. I will share my screen. One moment. Everyone can see?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Yes.
It's perfect. So my presentation is focusing exactly on the topic, so then extreme heat in the city and how we do evaluate this new initiative To start, I just resume briefly how we could represent in general how are all these main facts, cause and impact based on the extreme heat in the city. So the fact everyone know, and also Jennifer recall us, that the increasing heat is a consequence of the climate change. This is everyone know, and this is really important to bear in mind. But also another fact important is that the city experiences high temperature compared to the surrounding. Also this has been studied and verified. The cause everyone also know that is based on the dark surface that we have in the city, but also is a lack of vegetation, and mainly also to the anthropogenic emission that we have in the city, so traffic, air condition, industrial activity. And in general, we can also include the urban morphology. As an urban planner, I also study this topic. So yes, the morphology of the city is a cause also of this urban heat island. The impact is visible on every day, and when we have this heat wave is mainly on the public health. So we have increase of heat stroke or cardiovascular problem, or also respiratory disease, and as well as economy and infrastructure impact. This brief slide is important to recall this topic, then cause and impacts, because are essential in order to develop effective strategy that we have to settle down in order to fight this topic. So based on that, I am able to present the next slide that is about what project and program are being evaluated by authority. I divided in project and program. Project, I synthesize just the main three area of this strategic mitigation action that is based on urban greening, sustainable urban planning, and rethinking the built environment. For me, that one are the three main sector where the strategic mitigation and adaptation project are working nowadays. For the urban greening, we have, for example, the project by IUCN that is Grow Greening. That is essentially the use of nature-based solution inside urban planning and an implemented city planning. So we have seen that the application of this project inside an urban planning that is well developed bring some good result. Of course, really good result. And later on, I will explain also this result. Sustainable urban planning, as I said before, is essential in order to generate a planning that can fight this heat wave. An example is the project of EBA, the ecosystem-based adaptation strategy, as well as the Grow Green, also promoted by IUCN, and can show some really good result. Mainly, we apply this in a city like Medellin, that have transformed the entire neighborhood, incorporating green and corridor in a livable place for the people, mainly during this heat wave and stress moment. And of course, the last one is rethink the built environment. The built environment, that is a huge component of the city. So it's important to have action on the building and also on the future development that we are going to do in order to align our strategy with the overall situation. But projects are only one part. Beside the project, we have to combine them with a solid and comprehensive program. Here I list some ongoing initiatives by the authority. We have the HEAT Action Plan, the Urban Climate Resilience Program, the funding and incentive scheme, and also the public awareness campaign. HEAT Action Plan, I think it is really important to spend some word about that, mainly because Ahmedabad was one of the first city in South Asia that applied this kind of program, and we already saw some good result about this kind of program. So it's really important to mention, because here I list what are the project and the program that has an effective result on what we are talking about today. Funding and incentive also is an important topic, and the European Union with the name is Horizon 2020, before and now is Horizon Europe, is promoting this financial support to building, but also to innovative technology. So it's really it's a topic that here in Europe we are developing, and has also good result, because projects are important, but without innovation, the result is not always sure. We have to be innovative in order to adapt the project to the real situation that we have. So this adaptation need also innovation, and without money, the innovation is difficult to go on. So for this reason, I want to mention this kind of program. And of course, the public awareness campaign. We have to continually inform people and educate them in order to be cool. This is the right sentence, as they are doing, for example, in New York, but also in Paris. There are important programs that go in that direction. But all these, we have to be aware to learn from this program and project. We have to be also able to decide what are the best result, and what is the lessons that we learned, and what we can keep with us and improve it. So based on my experience, that is on the ground, mainly on the ground. So I am more in the project part, and for this reason, I'm also happy to contribute to the definition of the nature-based solution guideline that is going to start next month. So as a committee, advisory committee, in order to focus on the right tools that we have and we have to develop. Here, for example, we know that the data-driven decision-making is essential, is important. Having a satellite supervision of the ground in order to highlight what are the weakness of that tissue, urban tissue, and what are the action on this weakness spot is essential, is really important. And for me is the starting, is the first tools that I would like to take with me in this journey. Also the cross-sector collaboration. We know that the multi-layer integration between regional and national government are important. And in fact, Paris has been working on that for a long time, and is effectively use this kind of integrated decision-making process. And for sure, it's something that we have to bring with us, and this is a good achievement. Community engagement and equity. We have to ensure that all the voices are listened, all the needs are satisfied. And listen from the community is another important lessons that we learned, is essential, because based on these needs, will be developed the project, the future project, to assess a fight toward the heat wave. So it's really important. And the last one is the nature-based solution. On that, we have great result. We make an analysis on 93 cities here in Europe, and we saw that the application of nature-based solution has bring a reduction of healthy problem based on the heat wave of 40%. So increasing the tree coverage of the city by 30% as a direct impact of the reduction of the problem generated by the heat wave. This is a result that must be taken with us for the future project and developed. What we are doing about this, all this direction, this is just 5 innovative area that I'm feeling to bring inside IUCN and actively work on it. We have to strengthen the evaluation framework. This is important because we have, for example, IUCN global standard for the nature-based solution that work really well with 8 category and 28 indicator in order to define and assessment of our project. So this work really well, but I think that we have to improve this kind of framework, and we have to try to adapt this framework to the sustainable development global direction that came from the COP, essentially, came from the conference that we do, and is really important to align the tools that we have on the ground with an overall vision that is important, of course, but must be aligned. For now, we still have a gap. We have something that is missed. And then, of course, we have other topic to be implemented. Now, I don't want to be too long, but for sure, promote multi-level governance approach is a sector that, as I said, bring good result. But also there, we need to work a lot, because the communication often between the different level of governance doesn't work really well. So we need something to be the bridge between them to facilitate this kind of communication and coordination. To summarize at the end, in order also to close my small speech, is important to be adapt to all the problem that we are going to face. I think we have to start to consider the city not anymore like an inorganic element, but merely as an organic, as an organism, because the city lives, the city breathes, the city consumes, and for this reason we have to rethink the way how we face and we consider our city. So maybe we have to step back and take some lessons learned from the past and reevaluate the way how we want to proceed in the future. That's it. That one was my small contribution. There are many topics to be developed, and maybe we can do afterward. Merci. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Costantino. Very useful set of supportive initiatives, and we'll hopefully have some space for questions at the end if you'd like to know more about that work. And feel free to begin putting those in the chat and we can collect them. We'll now pass to Mr. Shivu Prasad Vaidya.
We also have 50 organizational.
Yes, I am Shivu Prasad Vaidya. Please excuse me. There is no electricity here, so I cannot share my presentation slide. Kindly please help me. Attention, Monish and Sushma Modi. Previous time I sent to my presentation slides.
So if you go onto the Sphere website,
I am sharing
you can
Shibu's
download
screen.
the Sphere
Extreme heat and Bangladesh context. Burn means heat and heat caused by intense sunlight. Heat that is felt due to excess heat and heat as thought we call heat stroke. According to Swedish physicist Savante Arrhenius, the amount of carbon dioxide in the air of increasing day and day, the gas is warming the atmosphere, putting the earth and their danger. Bangladesh is no expectation. In March, April, May, more than 43 degrees Celsius temperature for a continuous month has made the public life of Bangladesh extremely dangerous. As a result of climate change, frequent storm, tidal waves,
Shibuji,
yes,
just
yes,
yes.
yes.
We are just able to see the screen right now. Can you just like go over it one more time, please? Just restart, please.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Extremely heat and Bangladesh context. Burn means heat and heat caused by intense sunlight. Heat that is felt due to excess heat and heat is what we call hot stroke. According to Swedish physicist Savante Arrhenius, the amount of carbon dioxide in the air of increasing day by day. The gas is warming the atmosphere and putting the earth and their danger. Bangladesh is no expectation. In March, April, and May, more than 43 degrees Celsius temperature for a continuous month has made a public life of Bangladesh extremely dangerous. As a result of climate change, frequent storms, tidal waves, severe floods, river erosion, and excessive salinity have destroyed people's livelihood and balance of the environment, completely destroying the dream of survival. Next slide.
Lots of information and videos, so please check out the Sphere YouTube channel. So those are some recent sorts of training highlights from the Secretariat. But coming up in 2000,
What projects and programs have been undertaken? Projects have been undertaken and extensively increase appreciation include river embankment, mangrove, Sundarbans. Policies have been developed nationally to protect student human health. School and college timetable has been changed, keeping the children in mind. The schedule has been changed to bring back to efficiency of the worker. New schedule adopt the speed of economic agriculture and artistic process. Measures have been taken to conserve biodiversity by re-exhibiting channel bank the river Sun. Next slide. Inspection and assessment of extreme heat issue. While the initiative taken for heat reduction are being inspected and evaluated by the government and private sector of their paper implementation. International organizations keep matter under consultant review and evaluation. A number of monitoring groups at the national level continue to monitor the implementation and evaluation of the measure taken. Locally, the Upazila district administration, along with community leaders and representative of non-government development organization, are trying to speed up all the activities undertaken by constantly evaluating the issue. Next slide. Our lesson and learning topics. The entire country should be filled the excessive generally use the biofuels should be reduced to the maximum level. All necessary steps should be taken to protect biodiversity. Use of renewable energy must be ensured in every cause. Unplanted to industrialization and urbanization must be stopped. Maximum measures should be taken to remove carbon level by preventing noise, population, and air pollution. Next slide. How to adapt? Keeping in mind issue of human health, the time from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. will be avoided. We will talk of the necessary eco-friendly technologies to free from endangered agriculture system and damage. Decision will be taken to drive agriculture and artistic process in a new way to accelerate the wheels of economy. New measures will be taken to protect lost biodiversity by reducing to use the fossil fuels. Unplanned urbanization will stop industrialization and take measures to build eco-friendly houses. Next slide. Thank you. I am Shibu Prasad Boiddo, founder and chairman, Borokopot Ganochetona Foundation, BGF, Bangladesh. Excuse me, please.
Thank you so much, Shibu. It was very interesting to hear, particularly about the range of actors involved in the monitoring, evaluation, and the improvement of projects there, including community actors. We hope you can stay with us with some questions at the end. But now we'll hand over to Vishal Pathak from the All India Disaster Mitigation Institute. Vishal.
Thank you so much. Hope you're able to see the screen and my also hear clearly. Thank you. So here, thank you for this invitation, and AIDMI being Action and Learning Organization, here we would like to share 8 evaluation lessons that we are learned from while working with small businesses. As already it is said and well covered about how it is growing risk of heat wave contexts in India and South Asia. There are a few important points that needs to be covered while working with and on this extreme heat points. Socio-economic aspect, infrastructure limitation also needs to be covered, and as said in the beginning, environmental concern. So number one is community-centric solution are key. There are no long list of solutions that now have been developed and also piloted, but that needs to be checked with community and do some assessment with them. So 1.4 evaluation aspect is participatory aspect. If we have the engagement of this community, then the ownership as well as the feedback mechanism really helpful. So with this, we shape this our intervention with small businesses which are vulnerable, exposed, but on the other side, they are really, contributing very highly in local economy, especially in the post-disaster, as well as also in the normal time in national GDP, especially in the countries like developing countries like any South Asian countries. And these are the businesses have very low carbon footprint. So the intervention can be really helpful to make them upcoming development green. As said, data-driven decision-making is very, very important. So we started with the assessment, and then those assessment data really, helped us for the potential measures with these small businesses. Another one is target vulnerable population. So we know about who are vulnerable for extreme heat. On the other side, this within the small businesses, we found that they are very key. Even from the poverty aspect, these are the people and families who putting very hard efforts to overcome from the poverty. And by that way, this is really make a very good selection when it comes to poverty reduction, as well as adaptation to climate change and disaster risk reduction. So we have come across through and applied various evaluation tools, such as key informant interviews, focus group discussion, field consultation with this target audience. And we found that really very useful in terms of taking their feedback. Again, we know about the importance of case studies, and here are some examples that how this planning and adaptation with small businesses helping them as well as the local communities in terms of recovery from loss and damage. As we know how we are challenging on the ground, challenging situation in terms of measuring loss and damage because of extreme heat, but that now needs to be addressed and also linked with anticipatory actions. In this case studies, we have found that around 20% increase in income or decrease in expenses, direct and indirect costs, such as frequency of visiting health clinics. Simple point. Also about the excess of drinking water, storage of their small businesses item like simple fruits and vegetables and selling items. Early warning. This is really, one point in the beginning already said that we must utilizing existing platform. And here I reconfirm that, we have found this really useful two platform that we incorporated into our ongoing efforts. One is IMD forecast, which is 7 days of forecast of extreme heat, and NDMA's National Disaster Management Authority of Government of India, Sachet app. So all these small businesses, now majority of them having a digital payment system and many apps. So along with that, they also have this Sachet app, which providing useful information and alert and simple adaptation measures. So yes, during the intervention, we need to utilizing early warning as well as other platform which existing development in this area. Another one is integrating heat risk management into disaster management plans. Many of us are aware that we have a range of planning like disaster management plan at village level, district level, city level, departmental level, which is now mandatory in the case of India and many of South Asian countries. How this risk management plan can be, have integration of extreme heat. And this is by this way we can have a faster and rapid integration of extreme heat aspect into ongoing disaster management governance system. cultural and social economic context, it's really matters, especially while working with these local communities and businesses, because not only their economic situation and education, but their adaptation measures also required to be connected well. There are a number of and varieties of adaptation measures with which sector of business that needs to be very well calculated with these small businesses. We found this very important. And here is also about the engagement of these small businesses, because their voices matter when we're making decision about their business and adaptation measures. We all know about the importance of this meal, especially in the adaptation aspect. What we found is 2 points. One is it is an ongoing process. It's like a circle. And number 2 is it is an iterative process, and also about we can make more out of it, especially in the case of cost-effective analysis of evaluation point of view, that appreciative inquiry. So it is not about finding mistakes and failures. Of course, that is important for the moving ahead. But on the other side, what existing development has been made by different range of stakeholders, from individual to family to community to government departments and authorities. So that's really make a very important aspect when it is about monitoring and evaluation. Few final points looking at time. One is we have to focus more and more on women, not just based on the vulnerability, but because of also their leadership, because also their thinking when it is family matters and family benefits. It's more when we're dealing with women. Second is trust. If we have a community engagement in data collection process, that is the also step for the trust building with them. Implementation is important, but without education, it's really make things very hard. So it is not just education like a literal meaning, but also about how to read early warning and how to incorporate culturally aspect, and also about taking their feedback, whether they are having the time-to-time check about the behavior change, communication aspect point of view. Another, at organizational level, we found that livelihood recovery fund design and development is very important, especially as COP mechanism point of view. We require more and more evidence about the local level loss and damage, and now extremity is one of the biggest challenge. Another one is at local level, we have to have, not like a standalone implementing thing, but also about the think about the protecting workers organization, because ultimately it is also about the planning from the beginning stage, as well also thinking about the withdrawal strategy, as it is who are there permanently. It is workers organization. We are working mainly 5 ways, and one of them is policy support through roundtables, and that is really at one platform all the required stakeholders are there. That's really make the entire intervention very useful, valuable, and also from the evaluation point of view also. Another one is last one, co-creation of knowledge products. We are preparing so many reports and publication, and that how we can have those things with co-creation processes with these stakeholders. What voices these small businesses have, it's really big matter for the development as well as from the evaluation point of view here in this case. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vishal. That was really useful and great to hear your key lessons from working with this important group and highlighting not just the vulnerability, but the active agency of small businesses and women in adapting and responding to extreme heat. I think we have some time for Q&A. And I've seen people sharing some useful comments on floods or on the work that they've been doing with communities. But I can see that we've had one question came in for Pasqualino. So this is from Zinat Niazi. So she said, you mentioned the programmatic interventions on heat action plans, climate resilience, funding and awareness. Could you describe the research focus of IUCN, especially with respect to heat island effects in urban areas?
Yeah, okay. Can you hear me? It's okay? Yeah, okay, perfect. Yeah, of course, IUCN research focus on urban heat island effect, aligned with this broader commitment to climate resilience through nature-based solution and ecosystem-based adaptation. So the program and project that I mentioned before. Their work emphasizes how healthy ecosystem can mitigate urban heat island impact by integrating biodiversity and ecosystem service into urban planning. So essentially, IUCN is developing this kind of nature-based solution. They has been already developed, but now they are trying to integrate this nature-based solution in order to let this action initiative more effective inside the program. Before the lack, we could say about this MBS was that the need a context specific metric evaluation. That one is the gap that nowadays we are trying to fill in. So in order to provide an evaluating system that is long-term sustainability and social equity stable. So then in order to provide this indicator that more strong and more effective. So for this reason, we are working on this direction. So essentially, IUCN work in order to make stronger the ecosystem inside the nature, working on biodiversity and environment. So we are working on this topic in order to consolidate this kind of hemisphere inside the city. And in this way, I hope I answered to your question.
Great, thank you. We have another question for Vishal. So what kind of lessons emerge with respect to the type of solutions favored by different community stakeholders, small businesses, informal workers, etc., to cope with and manage urban heat?
So there are a number of pool measures came out, and it is not like a fixed scheme where we go and ask them to select, but it is we jointly and decision taken by them. And it is mostly in the case of how they can have access of cool roof during this extreme heat time, how in a simple manner it is having a like an umbrella and whitewash roof that they can have installed by themselves. There are other way also in terms of adaptation. It is also sometimes now we have also pilot of experience of parametric insurance aspect, how this community can have such insurance mechanism. Other simple but very important for this small businesses are like access to drinking water during the afternoon hours, because they are not going to stop working outside, whether workers or businesses. So this small matter is also like a big for them. Another one interesting we found is different examples related to diversification of income. How this during summertime they can have diversified their income, like how in a simple example, how plastic product seller have also seeds who's selling seeds related to fruits and salad food items. Same way how fruit seller can also have a juice maker, which generally they cannot in many cases be found, but through these adaptation measures, with the cool measures, they also have access to this diversification of income or increase of income because of extreme heat. So these orientation really make big development with this families and businesses. Thank you.
Great, thank you. We have another question which isn't directed to anyone in particular, but maybe Shivu, you'd feel comfortable with this one. How do we develop and implement heat action plans with active community engagement? If that's one that you would like to answer, Shivu, or another panelist, if you want to jump in.
Yeah, maybe I can take this one.
Great, thank you.
No, I think how we integrate these needs. First of all, before to develop an action plan, there are a preparatory period that include many engagement with the community, different communities based on the if they are minority or immigrant or there is a problem inside the community. So we arrange several meetings in order we start to do this workshop with them, and we start to list what are their needs, what can be our response, and based on that, we try to take their feeling and their answer. So in this way, we can summarize this workshop in essentially in need from the community that will be integrated in action, in real action that we will take on in the city. So yeah, I think I answered to the question. So in this way is all the process behind a program.
Great, thank you. And we've just had another one come through. And again, if anybody feels comfortable with this one, feel free to jump in. But the question is, what we are seeing today is rapid urbanization of tier 2 and tier 3 resource constrained cities with support from policymakers. While it is necessary for the economic development, can you highlight a few initial localized and community-driven solutions that are adaptive measures to protect vulnerable groups and environments from the increasing risk of extreme heat? So localized and community-driven solutions. Open to any panelist who can share some thoughts on that.
If the panelists don't mind, may one of the participants take this question up?
I think if anybody feels that they want to jump into the conversation with a good answer to that,
yeah,
they can
because
unmute themselves.
yeah. So hi, this is Kshitij Gupta, also from AIDMI, and been working as members of AIDMI, been working extensively at the intersection of urban small businesses in tier 2 cities and the risk of extreme heat. One thing that our research and work with this community has highlighted is that in a country like India or the larger South Asian region, traditionally, which are supposed to be quite hot during the summer months, extreme heat is not looked upon as a risk per se, especially by people who work on the streets. And it is only now that data from the public health ecosystem is telling us that a lot of mortality and morbidity can be attributed to the risk of extreme heat. So, in that sense, what we have thought a low resource intensive initiative can be combining these two things. As during Vishal's presentation, if you guys remember, he highlighted that awareness is a big part of any kind of successful initiative, involving communities. So NDMA has the National Disaster Management Authority in India has prepared the Sachet app, which kind of gives forecasts of the weather, how it's going to be for the next 7 days in terms of temperature and other indicators. So I think what entry point for a entry point for a good program to address Sushma's question would be that, say, we first have an awareness program with the exposed community about human health thresholds, and we try to explain to them, okay, that while we know that you've been living with heat for a very long time, you've been working for a very long time, but there is a certain threshold beyond which the human body would collapse and would not be able to cope with that heat. And if we can combine that awareness program with giving them training on how to use that Sachet app of NDMA, then I think that would make for a very good programmatic intervention, which can be low cost in very resource scarce tier 2 cities of India. So this is something that we've been mulling over as AIDMI. Thank you.
Great, thank you. I think we've got time maybe for a short answer to a final question that came in, and it's for Vishal. So we're planning to work in the area of effects of urban heat islands in Northeast India. Can you give us any heads up or suggestions on that? Maybe you can give a quick answer now, but maybe follow up afterwards. I'm sure you'll have more.
Very quick, but very interesting question. Thank you for this question, and very important initiative that you are going to take in NER region. And one instant and immediate aspect is about the local assessment. There are many formal, informal actions has been taken by many groups and communities. So first step instant is having an assessment what on the ground exists, and based on that design can be built up. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Thanks to all the panelists and for all those questions. And I'll just hand over to Mihir Bhatt to close the session.
Thank you. Thank you, Jennifer, all the panel members, Shibu Saab, Pascalino, thank you, Vishal Bhai, Sushma Bhai. Very short, I would say the way ahead. 4 areas have come to our work and through this discussion as way ahead. And one is to evaluate, broaden the evaluate, deepen the evaluations of extreme heat projects programs to go beyond formal measures to informal measures that are being taken. And the reason being that the informal measures are 10 times more than the formal measures that authorities and civil society is taking. So that's one area in terms of way ahead for us, but for all of us. The second area that is coming up is to go beyond social inclusion of people who are being left out into extreme heat related measures, to evaluate that, to go beyond and see to what degree the ownership, the social ownership, collective cooperative ownership of these measures are there. And that's something, if we really want to make a change in the system around the extreme heat related responses, that's another area to evaluate more and far better. The third area which is coming up is Pascalino mentioned about nature-based solutions, and to go beyond nature-based to nature-restoring solutions. Because what's happening we see in what is presented here, but also when we look at the other experience outside, is that very rapidly natural resources and other aspects of nature are being plundered and destroyed at a much faster rate. And it will not be very soon possible to have nature-based solutions. We will need to evaluate how nature is being restored, which is already plundered and destroyed. So that's the third area where way ahead for evaluations and therefore the programs and projects is concerned. The fourth area is minimum. All the projects, programs, almost all, consider what is the minimum that we can do to reduce the impact of heat. And that's thinking doesn't seem to be very useful, where what we need to do is urgently and long term. So how do you move from minimum what we need to do to abundance of measures? Not one minimum measure, but many, many measures, diverse measures to address that. And that's major shift. It's controversial, I fully understand, but this minimum thing is really not taking the programs and projects ahead. So we need to look at abundance. And the last one I would like to suggest as a way ahead is very much to go from a few standard meta global evaluations to thousands of multiple diverse macro local evaluations. A lot of self-evaluation, peer evaluation, just seeing that how we can have much broader base from which we can all draw. Technologically, it is possible now. Intellectually, it has always been possible. So how do we have that multiple diverse micro local evaluations coming up for everybody to share so that we can move faster than we have moved in the past? With that, I'd like to thank for this opportunity to suggest the way ahead. We will work on that. And everybody here is invited to join. To you, Jennifer, thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody, for participating in the great questions and discussion in the chat, as well as to all the panelists and to AIDMI for hosting this great session. So thank you all and take care, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.